Hello and welcome back to GLC TV. We have another GLC gameplay video for you. For those who don't know, Gym Leader Challenge, or GLC, is an official alternative format for the Pokemon TCG created by Andrew Mahone of Tricky Gym, in which players use cards printed from the expanded era pool of sets, black and white onward, to build a deck with only Pokemon of a single type, and can only include a single copy of each card, except for basic energy. GLC decks cannot use any cards which have a rule box, which includes cards like V-Stars, EXs, Radiant Pokemon, and Ace Specs. I am playing a new Fire deck based on a deck created by Spence72 on Cardboard Warriors. Spence is the master of Fire GLC and has multiple Fire decks built up over on the site in the community decks, but this one jumped out to me as having some really neat recent cards for Fire, like the Armarouge from Surging Sparks and the Camerupt from Paldean Fates. This deck forgoes Charizard for Delphox as its stage 2, which gives Fire a potent draw engine to go with Magcargo's powerful Smooth Over ability, to basically search for any card from the deck each turn while also drawing a bunch of cards and not burning a ton of basic Fire energy from the hand, which Salazzle does. When I was playtesting the deck solo, I noticed I was having a hard time getting things set up in the early game when I was playing Spence's original build, so I had made quite a few changes to the deck's trainer lineup right at the last minute, though I did talk to Spence on Discord before I made the changes to get his thoughts. These are the changes that I've made to the deck to show you what it used to look like with Spence's build. And some of these changes I still think are a good idea, but some I can now see why Spence had the cards he did in the deck. Spence has been really awesome talking about his decks with me and his card choices and being open to new ideas. And I think he's one of the best resources available for anyone looking to get into the Fire type in GLC. So check him out over on the Tricky Gym Discord. My opponent today is Faith, playing a water deck of her creation that she's been working on for quite a while now and has been honed into a very consistent and very effective deck. This deck focuses around getting Palafin out early and using switch effects and pivot tools to hit hard and fast with Palafin in the early game, then pivoting to Seismitoad to lock down the late game. The deck is very streamlined and has a ton of redundancy built into it to execute its game plan every time, and it doesn't fold to having one key piece missing, other than maybe the Palafin. Alright, so I win the coin toss and elect to go second, but do give up 2 mulligans to Faith before finally finding a basic for my starting active slot. Starting off with Chi-Yu in the active, and going to be a Chien-Pao, the new Chien-Pao from Surging Sparks. Does 120 damage for 3 energy and puts an energy back into hand when you attack. The ability pops a stadium when you play it to the bench, so not going to get to use the ability this game unless she does find a scoop of net. Just attach this to the Chien-Pao, plays down the Finian, or Finizen, and I'm going to pass the turn over to me. So I don't have much going on. I do have a trainer's mail here. I'm going to have to use that to try to dig for something to help me set up. I too see a Fennekin that I want, but unfortunately can't take it. I can only take a Field Blower or a Raihan here. Not much going on for tools that I'm really worried about in Faith's deck, although she does use Air Balloon and Floatstone extensively, so I do take the Field Blower here. And then I go back in with a Heavy Ball, which can find either Numel or, more importantly, Slugma. Both have 3 retreat, so the deck card works quite well. Definitely thinking about adding ball guy to this deck after playing it. I think it could really use the extra setup card that can get multiple basics and evolutions out of the deck via cards like Heavy Ball, but also Ultra Ball, Timer Ball, Nest Ball, etc. So we're going to just attach to the Chi-Yu and pass turn after playing the Slugma to the bench. And getting that my cargo set up is going to help me to get the rest of my deck cards I need to make the deck work. I'm going to attach Wash Energy to the Finizen here, and I'm going to go ahead and Marnie. And I do remember not being too sad about having to shuffle my current hand and draw a fresh 4. I do accidentally draw 5 here, but Faith totally catches me once I draw my extra card. I'm gonna play Remoraid and pass the turn, getting ready to get into that Palafin. And I think I spread out my hand, and then Faith catches, like, hey, how many cards are in your hand? It looks like too many. So good catch by Faith there.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So I do put the card I drew. I was trying to figure out what it was, but I'm pretty sure I put the right card back. So I did draw the Armarouge. I also drew a Battle VIP pass. 1 turn too late there, but I'm going to be able to go get the Mag Cargo with the Evolution Incense. And then I'm going to use Smooth Over. I think I just went to get a draw card with Smooth Over here. Look at my hand. I have Fire Energy, Armarouge, Battle VIP Pass, and Chorus's Tenacity. So need to play the Tenacity before I use Smooth Over, because I don't want to shuffle away the card I put on top. But this is going to allow me to start getting set up with Artisan here. Although I think since I can get a special energy, I decide let's grab the Moltres since we can get the rainbow energy right now. So Artisan and rainbow energy off the Tenacity. I play the Artisan and use it to get the Moltres with the Inferno Wings attack. And going to now use Smooth Over. I think I just go for a fresh hand here. Can't use greens now that I have my cargo. Smooth Over is tough. It's because like you have the whole deck you have to look at, and you have like 40 choices you have to make, and you got to try and pick the right one, especially when you're picking for the next turn. So it can be a tricky ability to use, and I often find myself taking long turns trying to use it, so I do need to get better with that ability for sure. And I do grab Marnie off of the Smooth Over, so I can both draw a fresh hand next turn, but also be able to draw into whatever I Smooth Over on the next turn. In hindsight, I think I should have probably gone for Iono there, knowing that probably going to get knocked out by Faith here on her next turn. So that would have been a fresh hand of 6, giving her 5. And Iono loses a lot of its potency in the late game against water since they have Octillery to just draw back up to 5 cards. So Punch active with the Moltres. Faith going to play Arven here going into her turn. Honestly not sure if that was a good move. Probably should have saved it. I've been kind of underwhelmed by the Moltres. I know it's pretty strong to be able to hit 90 for 1 energy, but if you don't have the rainbow or the magma chamber, it's kind of just a do nothing basic. But I don't know, I'm gonna keep it in for now since it works well with the rainbow with the rest of the deck. Faith gonna grab Air Balloon and Evolution Incense. Gonna also use Dive Ball here to grab probably that Palafin. Oh, well, no, I guess Evolution Incense will get the Palafin, and then the Dive Ball will get the Octillery. So pretty much an ideal setup here with that Air Balloon. Now going to be able to retreat the Qian Pao. Yeah, maybe should have gotten the... I can't really think of what else would have been better to get with the Artisan there, since I had access to the Rainbow. I guess I could have gone... I could have gotten...
Char Cadet, since I have Armor Rouge and a Fire Energy. I could have gotten Char Cadet and Counter Energy. That might have been the better play. Yeah, should have gotten the Char Cadet and the Counter Energy. And then let the Chi Yu get knocked out, and then been able to take a knockout on the Octillery on the bench. So Air Balloon onto the Chien Pao to retreat into this Palafin, which is going to do... Normally does 210 damage when on the turn you switch it in. So we're going to use Octillery first to draw 3 cards. Back up to 5 cards in hand. Yeah, normally Palafin hitting very hard for just 2 energy can do 210 damage as long as you can switch it from the bench to the active right before you attack with it. And against fire, of course, pretty much doing 420 damage, annihilating anything in the fire deck with ease. Makes Luxurious Cape not just useless, but actually a problem in fire. You can't even get it out of your hand by just attaching it to something random, because then they can gust it up and take 2 prizes very easily. So I'm going to promote the Chi Yu, going to use a Smooth Over from Meg Cargo. Oh, I did misplay there. I realized I had access to Counter Energy. And I had already attached my energy for turn. Really should have used Smooth Over before I chose which energy to attach for turn. However, looking at the board, the problem is the Palafin has 150 HP and Chi Yu can only do 140. So I would have to draw into my Fighting Fury Belt to be able to take the knockout. Otherwise, I mean, I probably should have still put the counter energy on top and then waited to attach, but yeah, adding some options. Arvin, Quick Ball. It's really tough when you have to draw with a supporter because you usually want to grab a supporter with Smooth Over. Looks like I do get the Quick Ball with the Smooth Over. Gonna try. So this actually does help me accomplish a couple things. It'll help me put energy into the discard pile if I draw it, because I realize I need to use the Chi Yu attack that lets it put energy from 2 energy from the discard, or the Flare Bringer, I think it's called. So I do attach. Now I play the Marnie. So shuffling the Battle VIP Pass and the Armor Rouge back. And the reason I'm not using Artisan first before I draw is because I want to see what evolutions I draw and then pick what basics I get with Artisan based on that. So I did draw Numal. I also drew Gouging Fire here. So this will be helpful because if I can power up this Gouging Fire and Faith knocks out the Chi Yu, then she'll go down to 4 prizes, and the Gouging Fire will be able to deal 170 with its attack and take the knockout on the Palafin. So I'm going to use Artisan. I'm going to grab the Fennekin because it seems like we do need to get that Fox set up for soon to get the Mag Cargo Fox Draw combo going. Then stage 2 is not going to get set up quickly, so let's get it started on turn 2 here. And we do still have the Quick Ball, so going to be able to discard the Fire Energy that I drew off the Marnie. Putting 2 Fire Energies in the discard pile. And I think I have just one option, the Char Cadet, still in the deck. So get the Char Cadet. So we've got all the basics ready to go. Just need to get them evolved up. And I'm going to use the Flare Bringer to power up the Gouging Fire with 2 Fire Energy for next turn. Although I'm still going to have to find an energy to attach to it. Faith has Sobble on the bench. Going to pop the Artisan with Brooklet Hill. She did check if she could use it, so I think she meant to use Artisan first and then use Brooklet Hill. Grabs the Snom. Attach energy to the Chien Pao. And draw a back up with Octillery. I'm not sure what other base she has, but she does have the Guzma, sadly, and going to take the KO on the Gouging Fire. Guzma's into the Chien Pao, retreats with Air Balloon, which also turns on the Palafin's attack to do 210 again. We do draw the energy we need off of Professor's Letter to grab fire energy and a fighting energy, basic fighting, which is for the Numal. And yeah, at this point, we're just going to have to be punching this Palafin. Not looking good here for the fire deck for sure, but it's not over till it's over. So going to use Smooth Over now to grab probably a draw. We're down to one card in hand, which is a Hisuian Heavy Ball. Iona looking good. Raihan also a possibility. We're down a few attackos. So yeah, gonna grab that Iono. So gonna be a lot better if we're drawing 6 and she's drawing 3, but like I said, Octillery makes Iono a lot less powerful in the late game against water unless you can take it out. So Iono goes to the top. Gonna attach fire to the Chiyu. And hit for 140 damage with that, what is it called? Mega Fire of Envy attack, since I did get knocked out on the last turn. 10 damage short, but hopefully we'll be able to do something to knock it out, this Palafin, and stop its reign of terror. Gonna use Switch Raft here though, gonna heal 30 damage, putting it back to 40 HP. Gonna bring up the Qian Pao. Could go for the knockout with the Qian Pao, but with the wash energy on the Palafin, it makes sense to keep taking knockouts with the Palafin, since it'll come back to her hand. Whereas if Qian Pao gets knocked out, she loses that air balloon. You can see the powerful redundancy of this water deck. So many switches just to let that Palafin do its thing in combination with air balloon and floatstone. Professor's Letter for Faith gonna get 2 water energy. And going to be able to just keep powering up her backup attackers while taking knockouts here. Going to use Ball Guy as a supporter for turn. Grabs Ultra Ball, Nest Ball, and Hisuian Heavy Ball. With a full bench, most likely going to be using that Hisuian Heavy Ball to discard to the Ultra Ball. Possibly discarding both, since she doesn't need the Nest Ball either. Interesting. Gonna play the Hisuian Heavy Ball. Oh, the Temple, and that was a good call to not discard that then. Temple is an important part of the water deck. Once the Palafin has been dealt with, the Seismitoad then becomes the main problem for the opponent, requiring they spend an extra energy on all their attacks while hitting for 220 after the first attack for 2 energy. Gonna Nest Ball, or excuse me, gonna play Ultra Ball here, discarding the Nest Ball and a Water Energy. Grabs the Frost Moth. Yeah, I really like this deck that this water deck Faith's got. It's kind of got a blend of all the different things water's got going on. It's got Frost Moth for acceleration. It's got Palafin and Seismitoad for cheap attacks. Inteleon, and the Basket Legion as well as a cheap attacker. So it can accelerate energy, but it can also attack for cheap if it needs to. So it's not reliant on its Rain Dancer like some Rain Dance decks. But it still can come back very quickly with Rain Dance if it needs to. And it's just got a lot of redundancy, so it's very consistent. So I think this is a pretty good water deck here. And I'm gonna keep the Qian Pao out to put that water energy back into hand. I mean, she is sacrificing that air balloon potentially. Alright, gonna send up the Numal. And we do have the Iono there. Gonna use the Hisuian Heavy Ball just to check my prizes. There is a rare candy in there, unfortunately. But just want to thin it out and so it doesn't go back into the deck with Iono. Gonna use Smooth Over before we play Iono. Smooth Over grabs the Brixen, stage 1 for Fennekin, which evolves into Delphox, which has the draw until you have 6 cards in hand ability. So an important part of the support engine for this deck. And then, yeah, we'll play the Iono. So that's going to force Faith to go down to 3 cards in hand. I get to draw 6. And I need to do something because this prize count is going to get out of hand very quickly, very soon. So evolve into Brexen. And I'm going to bump the Brooklet with Magma Basin. Going to attach it to the Charcadet. And then Escape Rope. And now Faith actually has a pretty tough choice here, and that's why I played the Escape Rope here, because nothing really good to send up. If she sends up the Palafin, it's damaged. It'll be hard for her to use the attack's full power. If she sends up anything else, she'll have to dedicate a resource to retreating them. It's not too hard though. You could probably just send up the Sobble or the Basculine and attach an energy to them and retreat into Palafin. Had she attacked with Palafin last turn, this would have been an easy retreat into the Qianpao, I'm sure. But gonna send up the Sobble. And I'm sacrificing my Mag Cargo here, attach a fire energy from hand to the Charcadet, and pass. Gonna hope I can possibly trap the Frostmoth in the active with a Gust, and then start taking bench KOs with the Armor Rouge. Kind of my path to victory here. Gonna use Octillery to draw a card. And ouch, Chaotic Swell to bump the Magma Basin. And I'm going to follow up with a Hex Maniac and pass the turn, so it doesn't have an energy to retreat. So I catch a break here. And not only that, the Hex Maniac allows me to play greens by removing the ability from the Mag Cargo. So I'm now able to play Greens Exploration, since technically none of my Pokemon have any abilities right now. So able to grab Evo Soda and Floatstone with the Greens Exploration. Going to be able to get my Delphox out. Floatstone on the Mag Cargo. And retreat into the Numel. And unfortunately I don't have anything yet, but next turn I will be able to smooth over and then Fox Draw to get whatever card I want out of my deck into my hand. So a very potent combination. Can be hard to get out as Delphox is a stage 2. But once you get it going, it is pretty good. Gonna draw with Octillery. Now it's back to Faith's turn. Jess needs to find an energy to get this Sobble out of the active spot. Gonna Super Rod 1 water energy back into the deck, trying to find that energy to get it out. Used up a lot of switches already. Switch Raft and Guzma. And hasn't seemed to be unable to find one with the Octillery just yet. Okay, so back to me, another turn bought to be able to try to get back into this game. I still have not taken a prize. Now that I have my abilities back online, I can use Smooth Over. Getting the Armor Rouge out of the deck on top. Attaching the Fighting Energy to the Charcadet. And now I'm going to Guzma the Frostmoth. This is my plan. Hopefully I can trap this Frostmoth for a couple of turns and take some bench KOs. And now I'm going to use the Delphox to draw 6 cards. And I do find a Burning Energy, but I already attached for turn. And of course the Armor Rouge with the Smooth Over. Yeah, going to use the Rescue Stretcher. We've got Chi-Yu and Gouging Fire. Just going to put Gouging Fire on the bench. Gonna put Fighting Fury Belt on the Gouging Fire. And now gonna use that 180 damage attack to knock out the Octillery and cut Faith off from her draw power, and hopefully cut her off from getting additional switches and additional energy to get the Frostmoth out of the active. And I have the burning energy in hand, so I can theoretically start taking back-to-back attacks with this Armor Rouge. But Faith has the boss to bring up the Delphox, which has 2 retreat, and has energy for the Frostmoth, which has 2 retreat. So if she can find an energy next turn or a switch, she'll be able to get that Frostmoth out and start taking knockouts again. So now I'm in a rough spot. I don't have any switches left in my deck. All I had was Floatstone and Guzma, which probably a deck building issue that I should solve. But I could actually take the knockout with the Delphox, but that's just going to basically accomplish what Faith wants, which is to get back to retreating and attacking with Palafin. But if she does it anyway and I lose Delphox, I'm pretty much done for. So this was a really tough turn. Alright, so after thinking for a long time, I remember this turn was pretty long, finally I'm trying to figure out what to do, how to keep my Delphox alive. I realize if I don't keep taking knockouts, I'm just going to lose the Delphox no matter what. So I just need to keep going and taking knockouts here. So I do smooth over for the Blacksmith to the top of the deck. Attach basic fighting energy to the Delphox from the hand, and then use the draw ability to draw 2 cards from the deck. And I do draw a counter energy. Couldn't use that here though. I need to use the Blacksmith to be able to take this knockout, so that I have 2 fire energy for the attack to add 20 damage for each fire energy. So I'm going to be able to do 90 damage total, which is just enough to take the knockout on the Frostmoth here with the Delphox. And go down to 4 prizes. Technically still 2 prizes behind as it's going into Faith's turn, but narrowing the gap here. And here's the Basque Legion, unfortunately. Going to be able to take a knockout with this guy thanks to a weakness. Raihan to get the energy onto the Basque Legion. And the Field Blower to get rid of my Floatstone, which is painful. And now the Grudge Dive attack does 120 damage, since I did take a knockout on the previous water Pokemon, on the Frostmoth. So it does 30 damage plus 90 more damage, and then of course doubled for the weakness for 240 damage total, and goes down to 2 prizes. And I still have 4 prizes remaining. And still a Palafin on the bench, fully powered up Palafin, and a air balloon on this Chien-Pao. So bring up the Numel. Drew a Welder. Gonna use Smooth over here. Deck's getting pretty thin, but I do manage to grab Raihan. And even though I did lose my Delphox, I do still have a Pokegear, so able to get the Raihan off the top. Just checking the rest of the cards. There is a Hexmaniac and an Arven. And that Camerupt appears briefly as well. So we're going to use Raihan here to put the fighting energy from the discard onto the Numel. The search ability to grab the Camerupt and evolve. And with the counter energy that I drew last turn, now able to attack with the Camerupt this turn and take a knockout for 120 damage. I could double it to 240 by discarding that fighting energy, but I actually don't need to do that since the Basque Legion only has 120 HP. Chien-Pao comes up to the active with the air balloon, and going to evolve the Sobble into Drizzile, use the Shady Dealings to find Enhanced Hammer. Uses the Enhanced Hammer on the counter energy. This Camerupt definitely not going to survive this Palafin though, so a little bit of salt in the wound there. Rubbing it in. But Definitely not hurting her chances of winning. Goes down to 1 prize with the camera being knocked out. And I do have Welder in hand. My only chance here is to try and take a snipe with the Armor Rouge and hope that Faith does not have a way to get the Palafin back onto the bench and then back to the active spot. So we're going to use Smooth Over with the Mag Cargo. There's not much left in the deck to help me out. Field Blower, Hex Maniac, Silent Lab. Field Blower will help me with the Chaotic Swell. Definitely going to have to use my supporter for turn to get energy onto this Armor Rouge. So Field Blower on top. Do have a Fire Energy in hand at least. It's going to be able to Welder the Fire Energy from hand. Oh, going to do it onto the Gouging Fire there. I think I made a mistake. I should have done it onto the Armor Rouge there. Field Blower to get rid of the Air Balloon and the Chaotic Swell. Attach Burning Energy from hand. Luxurious Cape here to get up to 240. Ah, that's what it was. So I decided to use the Combustion there attack since the Palafin only had 40 HP left. In hindsight, probably should have gone for the 180 and hope the Palafin got stuck. But she does have the Inteleon here. Grabs the bucket, gets the energy, attaches to the Chien Pao, and hits for 240 exactly with the weakness on the Lux Cape to take the last prize. So Fire Deck wasn't quite able to get there. Definitely a tough matchup against Water, but you always got to test against your tough matchups because it's not like you're going to get your best matchups in tournament setting if you do play in tournaments. So gonna keep trying it out. I think the deck is good, and I think Spence is definitely on a good track with this deck, so we'll have to keep modifying it. I might go back to Spence's original build and mess around a little bit with it. But that's going to be it for now. Thanks everybody for watching. We will catch you for the next one.